This is Conversation of the Birds, a story set to music. New chapters released weekly. Written, composed, and read by Jamie Holcomb. You're listening to The Beginning of the Quest. The birds of the world convene to hear the dilemma of the hoopoe. That's a Persian bird. Hoopoe, or as I sometimes say, hoopoe. Please excuse my accent. It's been several centuries since anyone has heard from that Persian bird. Let's hear what he has to say. Presenting the hoopoe and the Conversation of the Birds.
While our birds were still arguing, on the other side of the world there was another assembly of birds congregating around a lonely tree. The hoopoe, a kind of salmon-colored fellow with a great crown reminiscent of a roadrunner or a rooster, that pink leader had sat on the bough of this dying citrus tree to which only a few green leaves still clung, and the hoopoe had perched for some time now, maybe a week, fasting. The hoopoe had sat on the dying citrus tree in deep contemplation. The other birds had begun to take notice. It was the dove who approached him first. "Dear hoopoe," she said, "is there something on your mind?" "Death," he muttered to himself. "Life, what's the purpose?" "To be happy, I think," she said softly. She took a pace closer to him along the bough, shaking it down to its outermost twig, where that withered finger waved one budding leaf. "What makes you happy?" said the dove to the hoopoe. "Oh, lots of things, I suppose. Music, dancing, flying. But every day something terrible happens. People die. People are hurt. How many of our fellows have you seen struck down by hunters' arrows? How many chicks have you seen snatched in the jaws of a loathsome serpent or snickering jackal? Are singing and dancing really worth all that horror of experience? What's the point of any of it anyway?" The dove couldn't answer him, and so she sat in silence beside him, listening to the wind, watching the orange earth play in dusty swirls across the plain. She felt very sad for the hoopoe. "I'll tell you." Silently, the vulture had swooped into the shadow of the citrus trunk. In fact, a coterie of other birds following the dove, 40 or so birds, light passerines of every color, awkward, stilt-legged passers-by, and hardy desert-dwelling kites and woodpeckers, in short, representatives of every walk, or I should say wing, of life, were now present for the vulture's sermon. "The purpose of life," he said, his hooked bill inevitably grinning through its shape, "is to die." "Then why not?" said the hoopoe. "Why endure any suffering at all?" "That's pretty bleak." It was the hummingbird. Shimmering like a sapphire in the sunlight, the little bird flitted around the hoopoe and the dove perched together on the bough. Below, from the shadow of the trunk, the vulture scoffed. "Truth is not comfortable," he said, "and death is a fact." "So is life, and joy, and love," the hummingbird said. He danced around the vulture's skull until that black bird flapped one great woolly wing to swat him off. "I have to admit," said the hoopoe, "I'm leaning towards the vulture." The 40 or so birds assembled around the tree. Now each one threw his voice into the discussion. Still, they were no closer to an answer. The funny thing about noise is that eventually, when it gets so loud that you can't hear anything clearly, when every voice drowns out the others, at that peak you can hear a strange presence. There's emptiness behind all that sound. Can you hear it? Like that, the colloquy of birds took notice of the ibis. "I know the answer," he said, in his silent language of postures and signs. He touched his head and batted one great honey-hued eye. "Don't listen to him," the vulture grumbled. "His life is easy leisure, reclining in the reeds all day, bathing and feasting on fish. He hasn't learned anything about the truth." The ibis, with a cock of his head, he let the vulture know that he knew who was afraid of who. "I know," the ibis indicated. "Who can tell us the truth? We need to ask the smurg. The rainbow bird of eternal return, the phoenix of the east. The smurg is a legendary animal." "There's no such thing," said the vulture. "Have you ever seen it?" the hummingbird said, directly into the vulture's right ear hole. "Of course not," said the vulture. "Then how do you know it's not real?" said the hummingbird. "Because no one's ever seen it," said the vulture. "Then why does everyone talk about it?" The hummingbird and the vulture could have gone on debating all day, and indeed the entire colloquy of birds threatened to raise its collective voice once more, but the hoopoe spoke first. "Is it really possible to find him?" the hoopoe said to the ibis. "I don't know," the ibis shrugged, "but I have heard that there is a way." He tilted back his head to point his dipping beak towards the rising sun. "The way to the smurg lies along those beams of light, into that shining star that reveals the world to us, over those rolling hills and sinking valleys. 7 times, they say, the earth unfolds. In 7 different ways the landscape rolls and unveils every manner of trap and pitfall that you can imagine. On the other side of all that, at the top of one great plateau, there you can find the smurg." All this the ibis said by the tilting of his beak. More than one bird cocked an eyebrow, more than one bird was skeptical, and some were brave. I want to find out, said the hippo. I want to know. I have to. If there really is a smurg, well, that alone would mean something. And if there isn't, the dove said softly, then we're right back where we started, said the hippo. The hummingbird added, although you can never know for certain that there isn't. All you know is that you haven't seen it. The vulture scoffed. Oh, said the hummingbird, so you know the truth. Are you certain? Can you be sure that all we say is poppycock? Wouldn't you like to know, too, if there's something more to life than corpses? Wouldn't you like to hear what the smurg has to say? What he has to say, said the vulture, is nothing. Let's find out, said the hippo. Let's find out for real, just what it's all about. The vulture had to admit he was curious. Skeptical, he said, but curious. He turned his skull-like grin on the hummingbird. What do you say we make a wager, If we reach the plateau the ibis has indicated, and if that magic phoenix is sitting up there absolutely bursting with wisdom, I will desist from ever touching another bird's corpse. You may personally bury your dead. He smacked his bony beak, and both he, the vulture, and the little hummingbird shared in their imaginations the picture of a fallen nest, a distraught sapphire mother, weeping, and the enormous swooping shadow of death itself. I think that would be a good thing, said the hummingbird. And, he added, you can take your business elsewhere altogether. Nature can do her dirty work just fine without the likes of you. Very good, said the vulture. He flourished his woolly wing and bowed. However, he said, if we do reach our destination, or if we don't, but in general, if we cross those hills and valleys and ultimately come to find absolutely nothing, then I get to eat you, alive and whole. A furor rose among the birds, but the vulture turned on them. Raising his voice, he proclaimed, don't you believe in the smurg? What's the harm, then? It's my own life I'm staking. I would leave this, my homeland, forever in exile should I turn out to be wrong. But if I'm right, if life is nothing but constant death, then who of you could argue? I am truly the king of this world. The dove, deeply offended, cooed her distress, but the hippo patted a wing on her shoulder. He's not wrong, said the hippo. That's what I need to know, for certain, life or death. And before I repeat the well-worn phrases of the unequivocal prince, whose soliloquy has been retold by countless performers on every variety of stage and endless iterations, let us simply say that for our adventurous birds, those were the stakes, the vulture's wager. That's the question. And each in his own way, they all wanted to find the answer. Together, the 40-something birds, led by the hippo, the colloquy of birds, resolved to set out to the east. Across 7 valleys, they would face whatever dangers might be waiting for them in those hills. They would go to find the smurg.
This has been Conversation of the Birds, a story set to music, with new chapters released weekly. Written, composed, and read by Jamie Holcomb. Produced by Supermoon. Join us next week for our next installment. If you'd like to check out more from Supermoon, visit us on TikTok or at our website, gosupermoon.com. That's GOSUPERMOON.com. The quest continues next week.